Hi, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition here of our Face the Facts Bay State Sports Pod. Chatting everything for the most part today because there is so much going on with the Boston Celtics, the Boston Bruins, the Red Sox. We really don't have much to cover on the Patriots because the Patriots didn't really have anything. But wow, what a day today to be a fan of the Bruins, the Celtics. Red Sox are in contention and in the news, and there's some things that we want to, number one, for me, get off my chest. I know we want to talk about this series that the Red Sox just wrapped against the Padres and look forward to their next one, which starts tomorrow against the Miami Marlins. But we have a lot to unpack. We have a lot to talk about. We have so many signings and even a team in Boston that is potentially for ownership group looking to sell. And we will talk about some breaking news that we just learned a few minutes ago, leading into some speculation on the Celtics and everything on what's happening with the future there. But before we get deep diving into this lovely swimming pool of fun, let's first of all welcome in Mr. Pat, Mr. Brendan. We hope we brought our voices here tonight because we have tons to talk about. Welcome in, both of you guys.
Thanks for having us again. We're back.
A pleasure. Pleasure, Nick. Pat, you want to go first?
Yeah, the Celtics. What a day. Not even the Celtics. What a day for Boston. I think it was a good day. I'd call it a good day.
I think it's a great day.
Today was a good thing. For the most part, there's a couple weird downsides, but we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Oh, Nick, huge day. I mean, Derrick White gets the extension. Cornette, he gets signed yesterday. Big deal. Bring him back for another year. Rotational big man. Going to play a lot of minutes for America's
The depth
team.
piece.
Depth piece for sure. Hauser gets the deal last week, I saw. Yep. And then, of course, Tatum, about an hour and a half ago, signs the Supermax extension, $314 million through the 29-30 season. The Celtics are poised to dominate the league for the rest of the decade.
Yeah, waking up to all of this news, as you said, it led off today with the Derrick White extension, and that was 1A and 1B on the wish list this offseason on making sure you took care of. I don't think I have grown to enjoy a player more than what I've seen in the past year and a half, almost two now, with what we've seen from such a true team player and gritty, tough, dirt dog mentality of Derrick White. I've grown to be such a fan of his, just from everything that he brings to the team for the intangibles, on and off the court, makes a difference no matter what it is that's out there. I'm thrilled to see this move. I'm thrilled to see him be a part of this core for years to come. I mean, this was a big deal. 4 years, 125.6. You can round it up to 126 mil. Guys, I think this is a bargain.
It is.
He got less than OG Anunoby.
There you go.
I mean, if that doesn't put it in perspective, I don't know what does. On the same time where we just increased the salary cap.
Exactly.
He took a team-friendly deal to make this team continue to be good. I mean, continuing with Derrick White being Derrick White. Good guy, wants the best for the team, plays the same way he manages his contracts. Love it.
Definition of what you want in a Boston athlete. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the dirty things.
Absolutely.
All the little things. Hits open shots, no ego, does whatever he needs to do for the team. He could have been paid $200 million. He went for $128. He took a team-friendly deal to stay in this city. He has the Sam Adams deal. He's going to be big with them. Mm-hmm. He's a big contributor to the city and means a ton. He's the Julian Edelman of this run right now.
That's a good
great comparison.
Brady, Tatum. You got Gronk and Brown, and you got Edelman and White. I mean, I think he was a huge piece of that core and what they do. He belongs here, and he loves it
Take
here.
a bow, Brendan. What a statement.
And that was a hell of a
I
thing.
love it.
Good work there,
That's
dude.
great. Excellent.
Let
This
it
is
rip,
around
you know,
the horn. I'm
fire
going to
up.
give you 20 points. That right there, from what we saw to lead off the morning here with the moves, is just one of the major pieces on what keeps this Celtics core, which keeps the rest of the league scared beyond belief of this monster that's been created here in Boston. And you know what, guys? I love every minute of it. It's great. It's great to have a team that you love to root for that has players that care and want to be here. What a model franchise.
It is.
And just to make sure we're also clear of stuff, of course, you've got Brown, who's already been locked up. Drew Holiday was already locked up. We know that. Porzingis was locked up. He's doing his surgery. He'll get as close as ready to go when the season kicks in as possible. Still got Al Horford that's a part of this team. Peyton Pritchard's still here. Sam Hauser, as you mentioned, with getting also re-signed. They are a force.
You got a deal too.
And that's why, and I was, wait a minute now, I'm getting to that because the second piece of everything from today was hearing the news about Jayson Tatum's big-time extension here. And that also was to nobody's surprise, but maybe the figures were a little bit surprising to some of you. Just to go over what Jayson Tatum got. So he agreed to a record NBA deal of $315 Supermax contract extension, which will keep Jayson Tatum here for now at least 5 years. I thought this was going to be a little more money, guys, truthfully.
Okay.
I'm down with you, Nick.
I thought this was going to go higher than 350 mil. I was thinking this may go into the 4 range, and I'm happy knowing that Jayson Tatum is now locked up. You've got everything that you want in front of you. You got over the hump. You're now champions. But now what I love about this is that they got that over that hump. Now it's let's build on this. Let's be a multi-championship style team. And you have assembled all the core pieces now to make that possible. It's exciting time to be a Boston Celtics fan.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they're a wagon. It's all about world domination right now. I'm not afraid of anyone in the Eastern Conference. I know they're all looking up at us. I think the gap is still huge. I'm telling you, the most you lost in a single playoff series was a game. You lost 1 game per round. 1 round you swept. I'm not afraid of anyone right now. They are wagon, and they are going to dominate. They're locked in on banner 19. We're here, and we're here to stay.
And the thing is, too, chemistry is only going to get better. I mean, you see it year in and year out. You see teams like, I don't know, for example, I guess the Mavericks. Not this year, but last year when Kyrie came in and they just brought him in and they were trying to figure it all out. It took a minute for them to figure out where Kyrie kind of fit, how to play Luka and Kyrie. You're going to see the same thing with the Sixers, where the Sixers were trying to figure out, another good example, when they brought in James Harden. Another great example, the Brooklyn Nets, they gave up on that too easily. There's so many teams that can't build that chemistry in enough time to prove that they're worth it, I guess you could put it that way. This Celtics team built that chemistry in a year. There was a lot of new guys this year. That was my biggest worry at the beginning of the season. A lot of new guys, going to take some time. That chemistry is built, and it's only going to get better, and they're only going to figure out how to play better together under the rule of Joe Mazzulla. So it's the same team. We're running it back, and there's going to be more chemistry, and they're going to play better together, hopefully. So
the other
rumor already dominated.
I know.
Already dominated. So
I got another rumor that's really burning right now. If you guys want to know what the next piece here is of the Celtics domino effect, there is talk between Jayson Tatum, Al Horford, and Jaylen Brown with bringing back somebody who was brought in here a few years back and was hoped to be a superstar style player to build on. And his career just kind of went south, injury prone and everything.
I don't know this one. I'm letting him play
but just a great team kind of guy that I think wanted nothing more than to show the Celtics that he cared and wanted to be here. And he got hurt on that opening night. I think it was 2017. Don't quote me on that, on the first game of the season. The guy that is very, very likely to be heading back to Boston if they can make this happen is Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
What do we think about that? Correct.
I didn't know about this, so this is news to me. Apparently, you guys are more into it than I am.
We're just in the know here. We get all the facts rumors come right through here at the desk, and I just answer the phone, chirp in, do my part. Yeah.
Nick with all his local experts, his NBA insiders.
Gordon Hayward is being recruited here from some players that really like the player, like his intangibles, and think that he can be a great bench piece here and depth piece for this team. And I think that can make the Celtics even bigger and better than last year if all health presumes and everybody stays healthy.
So coming from someone who just heard this news right now, my first thought is we have zero money to spend. What are we paying the guy?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you right now, I think it's going to be the Blake Griffin
type deal
minimum because this guy has gotten his payday not once but twice. He had a big career in Utah, was an all-star. He got paid in Boston, got hurt, could not recover mentally from it. He's had enough time away from the injury, got a big contract in Charlotte. I think this guy is far enough away from the injury mentally that he will be able to contribute to the Celtics in a big way. Defensively, cutting, passing is a very underrated part of his game. And, of course, his shooting. His shooting is going to be great.
I was going to say, Pat, the other thing I was going to mention to you on how they can make this possible. Don't doubt Brad Stevens. Just don't doubt what the magician can pull off here. And as Brendan said, veterans minimum. Veterans minimum. If you really want a championship and you want to get over the promised land and get to that next step, well, I think we're going to start to see players instead of, do I want to come to Boston? Oh, no, I really want to be here. And that's huge because the Celtics have built something that wants up. These players now want to come here to the city again. It's beautiful.
I love it.
Could this tie in, this is conspiracy, to the Klay Thompson trade? Because that's not finalized yet. Keep that in mind. This is all conspiracy, hence the Lindholm thing. But,
what are you trying to say? That you want Klay Thompson here?
No, God no.
Oh, okay. I don't either.
Klay Thompson is going wherever to the Mavericks. Yeah. Hopefully he ends up there, stays there, and ruins that team. It'll be great.
Very likely.
But with his deal, you have to do a 3-year sign and trade. There's a lot of different things that need to go on there. The sign and trade thing is a weird contractual world, right? Charlotte didn't really give up anything besides a couple of picks for that, and I don't think you could do that. So I'm wondering if that's tied into it, or if Charlotte's like, our team stinks, let's blow it up and get rid of everybody. Is Gordon Hayward a free agent?
That's what I was going to ask. I'm assuming that's the only way it works is if he's a free agent and he's chasing a ring.
Let's double check this right now.
You don't have any trade exceptions. You don't have.
I think you have the MLE.
I don't think you do anymore. I thought that expired.
With the second apron?
Yeah, I don't think they have that.
MLE doesn't expire. I think you get a new one every year as long as you're not paying someone, and that doesn't go against your cap. I don't think.
I don't think you have a mid-level salary though right now. You're like.
But who's on it?
You're deep.
No, because you do. Every team is given one, I think. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm no NBA. We need Keith Smith. Is that his name?
Yeah, we need Keith.
We need Keith on the pod.
As of right now, he is an unrestricted free agent.
So they're going to get him on a minimum.
He's unrestricted free agent is what I'm seeing. The only other team right now in the NBA that's been kind of lukewarm on him is OKC. That's the only other team that will be there. But again,
Oklahoma traded for him.
Do you want a championship? And
I think that's the word
whole
he
thing.
looked at, is where's his better option to get a ring? Because, I mean, you got to keep in mind the Gordon Hayward of 5 years ago? He was a perennial all-star, one of the best players in the NBA. he's kind of on the Al Horford train where the guy kind of just wants a ring.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Al Horford did get dumped on OKC and never really played and never did anything. And that's where Hayward went to kind of go and kind of, sit and not really do much. Makes me wonder what Brad Stevens could concoct here and make something happen. I'm always thinking.
That's an interesting one. I like that. I like that conversation. We'll touch upon that in the next one for sure.
Last up is that we did hear some unsettling news today regarding the ownership group here of the Celtics, in that Wink Grousbeck was looking to sell his stake in the Boston Celtics, which crushed the hearts of many of us earlier today hearing this, because that is the perennial organization and ownership group here in Boston right now. And it's unfathomable to even say that when you have, of course, right down the road in Foxborough, Mr. Kraft, and then you have that clown show at Fenway Park now of John Henry with their multi-championships and everything over there. It's unbelievable to still have to say that out of my mouth, but that's what it is. I mean, the perennial organization and ownership group here in the city of Boston right now is the Boston Celtics. So to hear this news was a shock, but at the same time, I gotta say, maybe I'm not that surprised considering how high the ceiling is for the Boston Celtics right now. It's very Mark Cuban-esque by Wink Grousbeck here. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's turning a $360 million buy-in into a $5 billion sell, which is crazy money. And also, if he holds on to this team that he has, I'm not going to call it an asset, because that's what some people in Boston like to call these teams. I think a sports team is almost like a sports car. You want to use it, you want to ride it, you want to have a blast with it. It's more than just a commodity. And Wick understood that, and he built a team. They were never really in the tank. The worst they were the middling bridge Celtics that were like competing and rebuilding, and they showed how to do it, and they set a blueprint on how to become great again. It's tough to see. The best case scenario is a lateral level owner, someone that's just as good as Wick. It's only worse below Wick, because he really was one of the greatest owners, at least in my lifetime. I mean, I know Kraft brought a lot. I know Henry, before, when he was originally invested, brought a lot. Right now he's going through, he's been pretty bad. But I think there's only lateral and low from Wink Grousbeck. He's just one of the best owners we've ever had.
And the way I look at it, oh, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was going to just say, chime in.
The way I look at it is, I just hope John Henry doesn't buy this team, but knowing how much Wink Grousbeck hates John Henry, and also something I just thought about too, I don't think John Henry can buy this team, because he's part of Fenway Sports Group, and you know who else is part of Fenway Sports Group? LeBron James. Yeah. That's a conflict of interest. You can't own a team when you're playing for a different one. So good job signing LeBron, John Henry, because now you can't buy the best team in Boston.
I want to very slowly give everybody a visual on what would happen if John Henry bought the Boston Celtics. Are you guys ready?
I love it. Exactly. It would be a plane crashing into the ground. It would be so bad. And like we were talking about,
did you see how fast that went down?
Mookie Betts situation.
Did you see how fast that went down?
Oh yeah,
very quickly.
It'll be even faster with him in charge.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a guy that this payroll on the top four guys, their total contracts are $960 million. Like when they all finish, that's how much they're going to be owed. You're also paying $60 million in taxes every year just on the apron, never mind Massachusetts taxes. And you don't even own your own building. And you're the perennial team with 18 championships, as good as the Patriots, Bruins, and Red Sox are. They don't have the 18 banners that the Celtics do as the greatest franchise in history. they're going to find a new owner. They're going to have their own building. Hopefully it'll be as convenient as TD Bank was.
Maybe they'll buy it.
Maybe I hope so.
I hope so.
That'd be wild. But like, I don't know. They need their own spot. I doubt Jacob sells it. It's too convenient. But yeah, I think it's a lot for an owner that doesn't even have his own building. Cash out for $5 billion. Hopefully this new owner doesn't tear it apart. We saw this in Phoenix. They built up, they made the finals, sold, and then the owner just stripped the whole core away, got Kevin Durant, got Bradley Beal, and then they sucked. So that's
but I think
that's worst case scenario.
I think the difference is that we don't need those guys.
You
already have them.
They're all locked up too.
You're buying a team that can already win you championship after championship after championship. You don't have to change anything. They've already proven that they can do it. You have Brad Stevens. You have Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derrick White, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Cornett, the most important piece of all of them.
Phoenix was up 3-1, I thought, against Milwaukee.
Yep.
They were up 3-1.
Away.
And they're 1 win away. And then they choke it, sell the team, and then the new owner strips the whole thing down. So that would be brutal. That's worst case scenario. Praying it doesn't happen. Wick is going to be here till 2028, I think. So, like, we still have a window where we win 3 more banners. And then we'll see what the new owner does with the core that is left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Other news, as I said, that breaking news part when we started our pod about what got released from the Celtics. So, Steve Pagliuca, another part of the Celtics ownership group and everything right there. It's not as high, obviously, in stakehold of what Wink Grousbeck is and everything, but he released a statement, and he declared he will be participating in the bidding process for Wink Grousbeck's stake in the Celtics. So rest assured, folks, Wink Grousbeck is going to make the right deal and make sure that the long ender of the Boston Celtics will stay together just like it is. A point also got brought up earlier about this whole thing with the Celtics with Wink Grousbeck wanting to sell and everything. Why would we be seeing all this money and stuff being done today with the Derrick White extension, Jaylen Brown's contract extension, Jayson Tatum's extension, and everything that went down? Wouldn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, granted, you could rip up things if you're a new owner and say, well, I didn't do this. We're going to get rid of that and blow it up. No, I don't see that. I see too much at stake here with Wink Grousbeck about what the Celtics mean to him. And I don't think he would want to do this to the fan base. He's as loyal and truthful as they come, and I'm not concerned about this at the least bit. So we shall see what transpires here for the rest of the Celtics as the offseason kicks in. But what a heck of a start. What a heck of a start. And you know what? If they said they're done right now, I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
We did everything we needed to do on our checklist.
That would be
Checklist number 1 for the night, done. I know there's other things, obviously, that went on in the NBA, and over time, I want to be able to talk about those a little bit, but because we have so much to unpack from today, I do want to jump over to the Boston Bruins, because here is a team that is now the longest drought here in the city that does not have a championship since 2011. So it's nut up or shut up time. It really is. Hard to tell you that, but you got to get it done, Bruins. You got to get it done. And I'm actually going to give Don Sweeney here some credit here today with what was done here early on in first day of free agency. So I want to highlight the first move of the day that was done, and that is bringing in forward center, huge on the wish list for the past 2 years. They've wanted him for a while, just couldn't make it happen. They got Elias Lindholm here, and I am thrilled about this move because, number one, you never got a chance to replace your Bergeron or Krejci. You never did. You struggled so bad this past season from winning puck draws and battles. And by having somebody in here who has been even in contention with the Selke Award for being just an outstanding finisher and getting the job done is is something I'm thrilled about. Came from Calgary and also was a part of the Vancouver Canucks this past season and everything. So on the Elias Lindholm front, just so we can talk a little bit about the dollars and all the figures that were mapped here. So top center in the NHL, he signed today a 7-year, $7.75 million deal here with the Boston Bruins. That was number one on the list. Then the Bruins also signed top defenseman Nikita Zadorov. Again, also was kind of playing a lot in the past couple seasons with Elias Lindholm and everything too. That deal ends up being a 6-year deal worth $5 million annually, so $30 million over the 6 years and everything for Zadorov. What I like a lot about this is, again, you have finally established needs and wants on your team, and you brought in some true NHL guys who are professionals that can help make this team a whole lot more better. Let's talk about it.
Nick, I mean, you had freaking Geeky out there on the top line to win faceoffs. You know, you couldn't win a single faceoff throughout the playoffs. It was like Beecher and Geeky playing big minutes under center because Coyle couldn't do anything. Zaka was asleep the whole time. I'm so happy to push those guys down the depth a little bit. They're decent regular season players. They cannot do it in the postseason. Elias Lindholm, huge upgrade at center, was coming down to between him and Steven Stamkos. They go with Lindholm. They tried to trade for him. They couldn't get it done. He knew they wanted him. He wanted to be here. Lindholm wanted to be in Boston, and he's here now. It was huge for them. He had a 40-goal year, and that 1 year where he got second place in the selfie was behind Patrice Bergeron himself. He is a younger Bergeron now, and he's a huge part of what they do defensively. He's going to help Pastrnak a lot. You need scoring. The Bruins need to score. They've been a really good defensive team, building the goaltending first and all that, but they were unable to score in the playoffs, and it really screwed them. So they need more shots on goal. They need more goals. They need to score more, and that's how they're going to win the cup. This is a big upgrade, a new team identity.
Another big part about bringing these guys in is not only do you bring in everything Brennan just talked about, but one of the big things with keeping up with the Panthers, which apparently is our biggest kryptonite, and a lot of the rest of the league's biggest kryptonite, because they've been going to the finals year after year and playing fantastic and winning, you bring in grit, and that's what we didn't have on this team. Both guys you brought in bring a little bit of grit, and then I'm gonna butcher his name,
Zadorov. Just don't call him Big Z. We can't do that. I want to make sure that we come out
like Big Z.
It's crystal clear. That is Zdeno Chara. That name has been taken. You can call him All Z. I don't know, but you cannot call this guy Big Z. You can't do that. That is not fair to Zdeno Chara.
But what he does bring into this team is that grit. I think he's the biggest guy who brings that grit to this team, and I think this team desperately needs some grit. I mean, your biggest grit was coming from a guy who was undersized in Maroon and Marchand.
Yeah.
And Marchand's old and undersized. I love the guy to death. Don't get me wrong. I wore his jersey on one of these pods. But you can't expect him to bring the grit that he once did. And I think bringing in someone younger, someone bigger, someone who's known for it, I think that's huge for this team. And I think that gives Bruins fans a huge reason to be excited about bringing him in.
6'6", 230. This guy is huge.
Yep.
And he's going to hunt you down. And they need someone like that. This team they're really talented. They style on you on the regular season. They could have went for the first seed. They had their pick to take Toronto in the first round. They are very flashy and finesse. They were soft. They were so soft. And once they felt a little bit of toughness, they would crumble. But right now, they got a lot more tough. This is what I've been screaming for the last 2 years. I know they were in Cap Hill last year, but they've always been a soft team. It's time to fix that, get a little more tough. and try to bully a little bit more. This guy, Zorknov, is a freaking beast, and I'm glad they got him. He's hunting.
We'll all work on our pronunciations of this guy.
Yeah, we'll get him
begins. We'll go to pronunciation school. We'll make
splash.
sure we get it all done and everything like that. But what I also love about this move is you no longer have to deal with Matt Grzelcyk. He's gone. Man. He's in Pittsburgh. Bye-bye. Bye, Matty. You don't have to deal with Derrick Forbes getting hurt and losing puck battles and just falling flat on his face on the ice anymore. Bye-bye. You're done, too. You got some great additions this season, obviously, with Mason Lohrei, and Parker Witherspoon was outstanding for what we got for contributions there. You also have some young guys, of course, coming in. I mean, one of which got hurt earlier in the season, which was Matt Putras. So I'm looking for a bigger, stronger, more physicality out of Putras to see what he does and everything this upcoming season. I know people are going to say, oh, that's too much money. That's ridiculous on what the Bruins did. I don't care. It's not my money. The Bruins went out and got better today. That's all that matters at the end of the day is you got better. Does this put them over the top? That's to be determined here. But I will say, as a fan, I feel a lot better with the direction this team is heading right now than I did, obviously, in cap jail offseason last year.
And Joe Murray's going to say this in like an hour, but this team went to Game 6 against the Stanley Cup champion. And the year before, they went 7 against the Eastern Conference champion. So they are not as far away as everyone thinks. They upgraded where they needed to, and they are right there. I'm telling you right now. I mean, they went undefeated against Florida in the regular season. They're going to have their number in the playoffs. It's going to be an exciting year for Bruins hockey. I think they have a real shot at the East and at the Cup.
There were also some other kind of secondary moves that were also made today for the Bruins. They also signed Max Jones, Riley Toofley, and a host of other additions that either have a two-way deal where they could be playing in Providence or being up with the big club at any time. So a lot of depth signing that was there. I also can't leave this segment of talking about the Bruins by also saying that I am a big fan of the Bruins selection in the draft that happened last week, which was their first round pick. If you don't know his name yet, his name is Dean Letourneau. 6'7", physicality, great idea with the Bruins bringing this guy in. He's a center. He was their first round pick again. He has a big presence on the ice, 6'7", 214 pounds. He tallied an impressive 127 points on 61 goals, 66 assists in 56 games for St. Andrews College, which is a Canadian prep school last offseason. And he is going to, is it BC? It's one of the Boston teams this for college. I forget which one it is. But one of those teams, he'll be there to develop. And I'm happy that the first round pick selection that the Bruins had. Haven't had that in a while. So obviously we got that and everything with the Linus Ullmark move. I still am not thrilled about what you got in return with this move. But at the end of the day, you did end up getting a first round pick. And, you know, if this Dean kid ends up being something, then you know what? You dealt one of your, in a way, kind of secondary goalies, because what you also need to figure out this offseason, and Don Sweeney has said it's a priority and they're going to make sure they get it done, is locking up Jeremy Swayman long-term. So that's the next kind of domino to fall here for the Bruins. I believe they are right about the $10 million cap space that they have right now. So if they can do a $7-8 million annual kind of contract with Swayman to lock him up, I think it's doable. And then you can piece together with another million or two. Maybe Van Riemsdyk wants to come back for another Ganter at another part of the season for another depth move, because he had a great. I would take him back. So that could be another move that could be something that you could entertain there. Once again, out DeBrusk, Dante Heinen out, Matt Grzelcyk out, Derrick Forbes out, obviously Linus Ullmark out. I think that's the biggest pain one right there. I know DeBrusk has his ups and downs throughout his Bruins career, and it wasn't all bad, of course. I don't want this to go out and say, Jacob DeBrusk didn't do anything when he was here. But it grew really tiresome and frustrating with the production that you got from him. You heard a lot of rumblings about him not being happy, whether it was former coach Bruce Cassidy. We also saw some sitting up at the top, watching games and everything with this current season and everything with Jim Montgomery. So I think Jake DeBrusk at the end of the day was a kid. Lazy kind of mentality, maybe. But I think he kind of grew tired of hearing kind of the coach's voice and saying, you need to either nut up or shut up and figure it out. So in a way, I don't want to really say good riddance to Jake DeBrusk. I really don't, because that's mean. I guess we wish him well, but I'm not losing sleep over Jake DeBrusk not being here anymore. I don't mean that in any harm or anything like that. It's just, I think it was time to move on. I think that's the best way I can say that.
Kind of similar to to tie the Celtics fans into it. I feel like it's similar to Grant Williams leaving. Yeah, good player. We really liked him. Jake DeBrusk, I think, was more valuable than Grant Williams was. But I think it was one of those just kind of bad energy in the locker room, complaining, didn't give full effort because he thought he deserved more or whatever. It's kind of one of those things where it's I hope the best for him. I'm glad he's got finally on a team where he can do well, maybe. And, just kind of move on where I think we've all moved on from him. And I think, hey, good riddance, but, good luck.
Wish you the best.
Yeah, I mean, final remarks on the Bruins. I think that Korpisalo trade is them trusting in their system. They've been able to develop goalies better than anybody. Goalie Bob knows how to coach it. I mean, Jeremy Swayman went from kind of just a guy to the most important player on the team, the best goalie in the league, and he carried the Bruins through 2 rounds of the playoffs. So they're trusting goalie Bob. I don't know. It's a big task to develop Korpisalo. I know a lot of people want to develop Bussy, but I think right now is the way they could get that first round pick. They needed a pick so bad. And even though it was the 25th pick, they draft a center in the first round.
It's something that they needed. That was the thing. It's they have lacked the depth on anything for a center with true grit, toughness, and Bergeron or Krejci-esque style.
Yeah,
I'm thrilled that they got that. They have it now. Now you need to develop it.
Yeah, it was huge. But
you have the guys there in the meantime while you're developing.
Yeah,
which is also massive.
Big part of it. They trust the program. They had to get Korpisalo to get that pick, and I'm trusting goalie Bob and his development. I mean, Jeremy Swayman's a legit player, and they developed Rask before. They developed Thomas. They know how to create these goalies. Some pan out better than others. Olmark, what was he before he came to Boston? In Buffalo.
Right. I mean, Buffalo. He was kind of a note. It was why did we just get this guy? And he ended up becoming something.
He ended up winning
trust
the
system. Yep, trust the system. I completely agree with you on that. All right, next up. I know this is a long one, folks, but again, you can't blame us for this being long.
The big day. The big day.
All Boston sports have something minus the Patriots going on. So next up, we want to recap the weekend here and talk a little bit about the Red Sox. Yes, they are third fiddle on this show because that's what they deserve right now. They still do.
Yep, they still do.
Yeah.
They're good, but they still do.
So the past week, before obviously this week hit and everything like that, everybody was like, oh, well, you counted them out, and here they come. They're going to be in contention, a lot better than expected. Don't miss watching this team. They just got over the Yankee series from the prior weekend and everything. And then was it the Blue Jays that came to town?
Yep, Blue Jays.
Okay, we had the rain out and everything that happened from last week and everything too.
We were there.
We were.
So
flooding.
I still left saying these people are ridiculous. We have a lot of season left here to play. If I'm getting invested into this team, I'm going to need to see something special. Guys, I'm still not seeing it. I'm not. I just think the rest of the league is not that great once again. I just want to make sure that that's clear out there because you still have lots of holes. There's some nights where your offense wants to show up. There's other nights we're going to strike out 15 times and look like a bunch of, as Brendan echoes all the time, a bunch of guys. That's just what it is. Sometimes you have pitchers that want to pitch. Other nights you get Nick Pivetta who gets knocked in his face and doesn't even know how to pitch. That's just how it is. Other nights you get the guys booting the ball around and throwing it out into right field or throwing it into the stands. It's just, this team is just a pile of mediocrity at times, and it's frustrating. But that's not really what we're here to talk about. I want more to talk about this Padres series that just happened from this weekend. We only got one game on the Sunday, but it was the homecoming for a player who was your real kind of identity piece for years. He was your shortstop. He was your guy. He was your Nomar. He was. Xander Bogaerts returned back here to Boston for the first time since he signed a couple years back his big deal with the Padres. And I'd like to give credit to this person who never got an ounce of respect this weekend for everything that he's meant to the fans here in Boston, for being the voice of the Boston Red Sox. No, Dave O'Brien, you're not the voice of the Boston Red Sox. Sorry, pal, who conveniently took the weekend off and was absolutely out of Fenway Park. What a coward. Don Orsillo, not Don Orsillo the coward, Don Orsillo, my friend. Many of you friends of Don Orsillo over the years here, as he was the voice of the Red Sox from 2001 to 2015, returned just for the second time back to Fenway Park, but was his first time real back for a series. He was back at one point to call a game on Fox on the national broadcast. It was a few years back and everything, but this was a big deal. And Nesson and the Red Sox made absolutely zero statement, zero recognition, zero time to even give the damn guy a round of applause for everything that he has meant to the Red Sox. So we'll talk about that too. As you can see, I'm already heated and I'm already pissed about the lack of respect that this ownership group has. And I'm going to call them out. I'm going to call every single one of them out for the lack of respect that they showed or didn't show this past weekend for Orsillo.
Nick, you're on a tear. Do you want to just run with that? We can start with that.
No. We're going to go to Xander because Xander deserves his thing first. So, where are you guys in this camp? Are you kind of disappointed that Xander's still not here with the Red Sox?
Look, that contract is the worst contract in baseball. Yeah. So I wanted Xander, not at that price. But the whole story is you could have got him at 130. You could have got him at 80. There were different opportunities. He wanted to be here. This is a guy that knew how to win, which we're talking about the Red Sox right now and how they look really good at times. They look like a pile of crap at times. And that's the team that has talent, and they're scraping it together with a lot of injuries. They're scraping it together, but they just don't really know how to win. I know you have Devers still, but he's not David Ortiz.
Thank you.
David Ortiz. Again. He is not David Ortiz. David Ortiz
needs to be a t-shirt.
Was more than a bomb hitter, the greatest DH of all time, the most clutch batter of all time. He was more than all that. He was the leader of the clubhouse, and the team went by his step. And Rafi Devers, as good as he is, as he plays third base, and he fields it pretty well, a little better as we get. He hits the ball, he pounds it. He is not that leader that Ortiz was. Bogaerts was the guy that commanded the locker room, and the team went behind him. Instead, you replace him with Trevor Story, perennial loser. Always injured. I mean, it sucks. He's always hurt. It sucks. But if you took care of him earlier, you would have set up the pipeline for shortstop Mayer. The team would still know how to win. You would be contending a lot more. And you still have that power right-handed bat that you miss right now.
not only was David Ortiz the leader of the Red Sox at the time, but that guy was the leader of the city.
Yeah, oh my God.
Like, that guy, he has a street
Absolutely.
named after him.
2013.
Rafi's never going to get a street named after him.
Yep.
I mean, he's great. And don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Rafael Devers.
Great player.
I don't think any of us are.
Great player.
Great player, awesome, so happy to have him in the city. But David Ortiz is a street named after him, and after the marathon bombing, what happened? He was the guy that came out and said, "This is our city."
Blanking city, absolutely.
I mean, and everyone rallied behind that.
Yeah.
All of Boston rallied behind a Dominican guy who was representing our city. That's awesome. That's so Boston. That's so what we stand for. That's what the Red Sox stand for. David Ortiz will never be matched. And you can't blame Rafi for not being that guy, because that's just who David Ortiz is. He's different. Yeah, that's his identity. His identity is so different than Rafael Devers. Rafael Devers is just a quiet kid who loves baseball and is really damn good at it.
But he's not a leader.
He's never going to be the leader that David Ortiz is, and I don't think anyone is ever going to be that leader. But you know what? We need someone close, and I think that's what Xander brought to the team, and I just think that's another reason why John Henry sucks, is because he didn't look into the future and say, we're going to need this because this is where the team's heading. Like Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens is the best GM I've seen in a long time. And he says, okay, in a couple of years, we're going to run into this, so let's start building this.
They got Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday knew how to win. The Red Sox right now do not know how to win. They have a bunch of young kids. They have Devers, who is a proven winner, but he can't lead them to win. That's why at the deadline, I'm telling you, you buy at the deadline, find someone that can win.
How many years have we been saying
You don't even have to win the World
I
Series.
can't. I'm going to mute you. I can't hear it, Brendan. I
Don't
can't.
mute me.
Because it's not going to happen.
Just
They don't
listen for
care.
1 second.
They don't
I know it's not going to happen.
care. They
not-
want to lose. It's disgusting, this group. I want John Henry out of here.
The experience that a guy like Jarren Duran and a guy like Tanner Houck would get in a playoff series would be huge for the next 2 years. Like Tanner Houck would develop into the guy. Jarren Duran is your franchise outfielder with Rafaela. They have just to make the playoffs would be huge for their development as you bring in the kids from Portland. That's the end of my rant.
I'm even wondering to myself here if, I really like Jarren Duran. I think he's been the spark of this team and the igniter and getting everything started as your table setter and all that jazz. But I still question, guys, if he's here long term. And I don't know if you have looked at the depth chart for what's potential upcoming here from everything. But boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of left-handed hitters right now. And it's fine if you do. I mean, I've never seen a team stack everybody in their lineup who's lefty across the board. But there's going to be some sort of painful move that's coming soon that involves somebody who's left-handed and getting something in return. I just don't know who it's going to be, because right now we have tons of depth, it seems, in the outfield. I've heard Tyler O'Neill's name come up, saying that he could be somebody that could be parted with or something there. I don't look at that at all, because I feel like they need that right-handed bat. Right now, Yoshida, he needs to be driven to the airport, just flown back to Japan, because we're done. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done with this. Say your contract didn't work, because that's just complete useless right there. But thankfully, Rafaela, I mean, he's been a great player and everything and exceeded expectations so far this year, but you've seen him at shortstop. Right? Is he your center fielder? We don't know that. We don't. Obviously, with Wilyer Abreu, there's another guy. He's left-handed. Jarren Duran, he's left-handed. It's a long list. Whether it's Emmanuel Valdez, if he's in the lineup, he's left-handed. Devers is left-handed. Reese McGuire, who's been absolutely horrid this year. I mean, he's left-handed. So Marcel Meyer, he's a lefty coming up. There's a lot of lefty, and I'm a lefty myself. I love it. But again, if you're looking long term here and what your lineup's going to be, it makes you wonder what the direction here is going to be. And I'm still waiting for that move that Craig Breslow potentially makes, because as of right now, I still, guys, I have to tell you, I don't trust this team. I don't trust the direction. I can't with this ownership group. And it's painful. It's painful that we have to go through this, because when you have lost the pulse of your entire fan base, you start to question everything that happens right there. And it's sad because there is talent. There is some talent that's there, but it's a matter of how you use that talent and build a winning product again. That's my fear. And I don't have the faith and the trust right now with Sam Kennedy, John Henry, Tom Werner, and the rest of the puppet land controlling the shots over there at Fenway Park. I don't.
And I agree. But the one thing I will go against you on is I don't think it's going to be Jared Duran that's the guy that moves, because
I hope you're right.
Yeah, but here's my thought process, right? He's fast. He's fast. He's electric. He's fun to watch. What is this team missing? Never mind the fast and electric. We just need someone who's something to watch. People love watching him. He brings seats to the butts to the seats. And not only that, but I feel like teams look at him and they're like, hey, he's still progressing, which is great, and that's exciting, and he has potential, but he's like, what, 28, 29? Like, he's not young. He's not like a really movable piece. If he was what we think he can be now, then, yeah, I would look at him and go, okay, he's fast. He's awesome to watch. He's going to get people into our stadium, because how many baseball stadiums have 4 people watching?
He's entering his prime.
He's entering his prime now, but he is too old to be like an exciting guy. If he was like 25, 26, okay, that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, we can move him for something valuable. But I feel like he's a little too old, which sucks to say because I'm 26 and I'm like,
I don't know how much they actually could get in return for him. And I would say the same on that for you there too.
And I could argue that another team might look at a guy like Yoshida, even though we're like, send him to Logan, send him back to Japan.
No team in baseball wants him. And the reason I'm telling you this right now is because they tried this offseason. They said, take him off our hands. And all 30 teams said, nah, sorry, he's your problem, not mine. He's a problem guy.
There's got to be someone else on the roster that's movable and younger. But the issue is all of our younger guys who shouldn't be playing right now but are, we don't want to move because they have potential too. So, I mean, I guess that's a reason why you might move Jared Duran. But, like, I say you just get rid of everyone else and sign some crappy free agents until those guys are good at this point. Like, what else do you do?
The dynamic between Rafaela, Hamilton, and Duran, when those guys are on, they bring something that no other team in the league has. These are the fastest players in baseball. They stretch every single into a double, every double into a triple. They steal every single at-bat. Like, these guys are filthy, and they're a big part of the scrappy identity that this team has right now. And I understand what you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about Willie Abreu, who is at that age you're talking about, 24, 23, and he's bombing the ball all the time. It's going to be hard to say, hey, let's move on from this guy, even though he's a lefty hitter, lefty outfielder, just like Duran. O'Neill, there's a real world where the Red Sox trade Kenley Jansen, Tyler O'Neill at the deadline, sell them off for prospects, and we just punt on the year.
And that's what happened. You'd punt. And right now, just how standings and everything look, you're a game out of the wild card right now. You can't sell. You can't.
There's no way.
So you really can't get rid of Kenley Jansen as much as some people want to. You can't. And he's actually been pretty good this season.
He's been good.
I'm being honest here. He's been being good. And you lose another depth piece in your bullpen, which you need. I'm going to shift gears. I want to go back to the Orsillo stuff because this guy meant so much to not just me, but to so many people that listened and watched all these Red Sox games for years and years with Jerry Remy and everything in the booth. I am going to share my screen here because it is worth sharing screens. So I am going to read this statement that was given by Don Orsillo. Can you guys all see the screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Don Orsillo is nothing but the epitome of class. He's a gentleman. He is somebody that did not deserve the treatment on what happened in 2015. To catch people up to speed, the Red Sox decided that they were not going to renew the contract for Orsillo because Weasel Boy Dave O'Brien, his deal was up with WEEI, who was the radio voice, and Tom Werner, who was in charge of all that kind of thing, said, oh, we'll just get rid of Don and we'll just put Dave O'Brien in the booth and everybody will forget about Don and move on. Well, we're in the year 2024, guys. It is still raw and still something that many fans like myself are beyond the point of being pissed off about on how the poor treatment of Orsillo went. And this is something that the ownership group has struggled with for many, many times. The outing of Terry Francona, the poor business decisions that have happened with deals of John Lester, Mookie Betts. Heck, even the Nomar deal was botched way back in the day. This group cannot do the right thing ever in their lifetime. And I want to read the statement that Don Orsillo gave to Sean McAdam of Mass Live. Sean McAdam, one of the more trusted reporters here in the city. Don Orsillo said, I believe when you're fired from a team, you lose your alliance to the team as far as caring whether they win or lose. That was part of the deal. If I'm out, so are they. I can't be a fan of somebody who's not a fan of me. You're going to like somebody who despises you or replaces you? ? I couldn't do that. My alliance here had to end, especially where I went to another franchise where I am invested. That fandom ended. Now, my love for the Bruins, Celtics, and Patriots has not changed. They didn't fire me.
Boom.
Holy shots fired.
Yeah.
Shots fired. And rightfully so by Don. Rightfully so. That piece that was done by McAdam is not getting enough play. This ownership group should not be able to breathe from that right there. I am so sick of them screwing up everything they touch. We have it so good, and then they just blow it up for the sake of blowing it up. It is horrible on what they've done to Don Orsillo. To not even give that man a round of applause this weekend for how much he meant to so many people. Hell, I went to school for broadcasting, and Don Orsillo was one of the main reasons why I wanted to be a broadcaster. And I wanted to do my talk show, and I wanted to talk sports, was because of that man and Jerry Remy. I'm disgusted. I don't even have the words anymore to say how mad and frustrated I am. To the point, and I even said this to you guys off text, it is very hard for me to root for the Red Sox anymore. It really is. It is that bad, folks, on what your ownership group here in the city is. And the folks that continue to support those owners should look themselves in the mirror and understand right from wrong. Because that right there, morally, is sickening and disgusting.
I mean, you were talking about Remy. That chemistry was the best in the sport.
That was Boston.
Maybe the best in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Those two together were amazing. They made you feel like you were at the game. They were fans like you. They were fans like me. And they were a big part of the entertainment factor. That's what this is. It's entertainment. People love watching sports. Broadcasting is a big part of it. The voice behind the scenes. Don was a good guy and an awesome man. And yeah, I mean, they didn't want to pay the price. Once again, they are the best at getting in their own way in that I've ever seen. You know, like you take a brand like the Red Sox, one of the biggest in the world, and you can just totally turn it downhill like the way they have. It's been tough to watch. Yeah.
It really has. And I mean, like what he was saying, it's like, how do you get rid of a guy that's the voice of your franchise? I mean, Jerry Remy, terrible situation, you know, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Terrible situation. And then all of a sudden you get rid of his co-part? Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's like Tommy Heinsohn passing away and then
fire
rid of Mike Gorman. Like,
Yeah.
That's not what...
You know what also hurts, guys? The whole thing, because for me, announcers are people that are a part of your life. You welcome them into your living room. You welcome them into your bedroom, whatever the heck you watch all these different games. And you develop a trust, and you develop a friendship, and you develop a love of the game. a love of listening and looking forward to those voices. That's what calls 162 or 81 games, depending on if it's the Bruins or the Celtics and everything. And you rip that out of people and you make them want to listen to something that is so far mediocre compared to what you had is insulting. It's very insulting to have to understand and have to accept that management can get in the way of doing things just to spite themselves. This had nothing to do with money. Nothing. Because Orsillo was offered the EEI gig right after Dave O'Brien was put in as the new Nesson clown to call games and everything. And how could Don refuse? He couldn't. He couldn't refuse going to San Diego. And I give him every credit in the world for still being the number one voice in Major League Baseball with the Padres. He has created such a fun, authentic love of the game in San Diego. I'm a fan, and I listen to those games all the time. You hear his laugh. You hear the camaraderie between him and Mark Grant, who is a lot like the Jerry Remy and everything with their broadcasting tandem. And I talk with Don, on occasion from everything. I'm very close, and we talk with one another and everything. And I've been a supporter of his ever since. I can't as a fan tell you how much more classy, authentic, true, awesome style guy he is. That's what he meant and still means to people here in Boston. So Don and folks that are listening to this pod, I just want to give you the proper recognition here from Boston, because nobody from the Red Sox was able to do that. Maybe behind the scenes, some people did. I would be very surprised if Tom Caron and some of the others that he grew up with didn't at least shake his hand and say, welcome home and everything like that. But to publicly on broadcast right now, say, Don, welcome home. We hope you were treated right, and we welcome you back with open arms to Fenway anytime. I just want to say that to him, because I know there was some that probably ruined the experience here coming back home, and that wasn't right.
I think they should be embarrassed, and I think they are embarrassed about their big flop once again. Every nook and cranny, every turn, they somehow mess it up. They swept it under the rug. They're really embarrassed, and they should be. Yeah,
they think our fans are stupid that we'll forget.
They tried to
Ron Henry.
With Dave O'Brien.
This happened almost 10 years ago, and your fan base is still as irate, pissed, and angry at you people for what you took away from us all. That speaks volumes. I'm sorry. It speaks volumes, and it should be spoke volumes, because that there is one of the major reasons and one of the major testaments on why fans lost trust in this ownership group. Because if they just stuck with what was, John Henry and his team would not be as hated as they are right now. I hate saying that word, hate, but I'm sorry. There are fans that will never look at this group again the same way for what they've done. Rant over.
Good rant, quality rant. We like it.
Big pod tonight.
It was spot on.
We had a lot to cover here. So again, we had the big moves of the Celtics, the big moves of the Bruins, of course. The Red Sox not being able to get out of their damn ways per usual and pissing people off like me. Look at me. We're going to be signing off, and I'm still mad. I need a punching bag. But that at least was off my chest, and at least got a lot of things together that we needed to. Guys, any final thoughts?
Glad we could catch up, get everything right back where it should be.
Right back in the saddle again.
Yep. We'll try to get back at you soon. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, good episode. We had a lot to touch on. We went way over time. But
this was the longest that we've done. But again, we blame the city of Boston for all the good or sometimes bad that we have to talk about on days like this.
Good, bad, whatever. Yeah, it's great.
There's still more to come. For us, of course, but of course with the Bruins and the Celtics, free agency just started today, so you should be hearing more from us very soon. Gents, pleasure as always. Thank you all for being here. We hope everybody has a great rest of their night. We are signing off. Have a good night.